fans. Representatives of all 12 clubs considered the implications of the guidelines for staging behind closed doors and examined what might be a realistic expectation for when crowds even are allowed to return. Detailed discussions have also taken place regarding a safe and coordinated return of players to training at a pre-arranged regulatory meeting with the RFL today. That was on the 14th of May, at which the impact of the pandemic topped the agenda. A group of nominated clubs continue to examine a number of scenarios for the resumption of the season, with supporters still very much at the forefront of the discussions. That's because we're the people that pay the bills. These scenarios are likely to see fixtures rearranged to later in the year as part of an extended season. So to summarise, that's Super League say that soon we're going to start again, hopefully, in some way, shape or form.
We know realistically it's going to be July, probably mid-July. Based on the testing requirements to start any sooner than then. We know that that's realistic. We don't have the cost base to pay for all that testing. But Tom, how did you interpret that statement? Because some people got in touch with me to say, are they saying that we're only going to start again when we can have crowds back? So how did you read that statement, Tom?
Initially, it sounded like we really want to start with we think we might have crowds back by July, but I don't see how that's going to be possible, personally. I had a letter from Neil Hudgell, well, an email, a letter personally to me. So,
you and you alone.
Yeah. He basically described it as we don't think we're going to be back this year at Craven Park, so I'd assume it would be behind closed doors for the foreseeable future.
How do you see that working? Do you like the idea that people have suggested that to make it lower cost and make it maybe more appealing to broadcasters to show more games, to have sort of double or triple headers at particular grounds to make the cost base lower?
I think that'd definitely be the way forward. The amount of channels Sky have got, they could easily show 6 games of rugby a week, like one Thursday, one Friday, and 2 on each weekend day. Especially if it's the same stadium, you could have even if you had a central venue for it where all the cameras just stayed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does seem a sensible way to get the behind closed door stuff up and running. Paige, how do you fancy Hull KR? Well, you're not Hull KR away. You don't go to those games. How do you fancy Cass away in November?
That'd be bloody freezing, wouldn't it? Not much protection there, but I'd still go to Cass away. It's my favourite away match, that one.
Oh, you're teasing for the meaty topic coming up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, games into November are not really that different to games in February, are they, really, to be frank? So it's not.
No, but we've already had games in February this year. And February was bloody miserable this year.
Meant to be summer rugby.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's... But it's interesting that in this particular statement, there's no mention of... Well, they don't specifically talk about loop fixtures, do they?
They've got to go.
Just get rid of them.
We all assume they've got to go, but this doesn't rule them out, does it?
Well, it's one of those. I was going to say it's one of those statements that doesn't commit to anything, isn't it?
Yeah, but the fans are really important. It's all about the fans.
Well, they want what they're saying is they want the most amount of games to be played when we can have crowds again. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
To me, that's the way I read it. We shall wait and see.
Yes.
Not a lot else we can do, really, is it?
There's some other stuff that's actually told us an outcome on them, Sarah. So shall we tell those people about those ones?
So also on the 14th of May, 4020 News reported Red Star Belgrade announcing that the league season in Serbia will resume at the beginning of next month. The competition restart is penciled in for the 6th of June as the country relaxes its rules around isolation and social distancing. And Gold Coast pair Bryce Cartwright and Brian Kelly have returned to training after resolving their issues involving flu vaccinations. Cartwright provided the Titans with medical documentation and was granted outright an exemption on medical grounds. Meanwhile, Kelly received both the influenza vaccine and pneumococcal vaccinations and returned to Titans training.
See, what I did in the middle of that is put two sentences together without reading the two sentences.
You did.
So glad that's been sorted. Though into the 15th of May, State of Origin fixture dates were announced that directly clash with this November's planned Ashes series, making the series even less likely to happen than it was. The games will run during the first 3 weeks of November, when Australia were due to be in England to take on Shaun Wayne's side. Now, with no clear scope on international travel and that sort of stuff. And what that will look like in November. Really, did we think the Ashes were going to happen anyway, guys?
No.
No, but I mean, I'm taking this as a 3-0 England win, and jobs are good 'un.
Waving the white flag.
That's it, they're scared of us.
If they can't even be bothered to come and play. Yeah, typical Aussie attitude. Any excuse, and they don't want to come. So,
have any of you guys bought Ashes tickets already? And are we expecting to be offered refunds or maybe deferments to World Cup games potentially, or just at the very least, first refusal on all the World Cup games?
I haven't yet.
We're in a hotel, but managed to cancel that one.
Was that for the one in London?
Yeah, Tottenham one.
Yeah, that's a shame that one's going to be gone from the calendar, isn't it? Because I was quite excited to visit that stadium potentially.
Yeah, it'd been a new one for me as well.
Yeah, Joshua wanted to go to that one, but I don't think we'd got round to getting tickets. When I say we, I mean I don't think Dad had got round to getting it, because I don't think I'd been committed enough as to how many tickets we were going to get.
On a sort of percentage basis, what percentage do you think of the Ashes happening this year, Paige?
0. Because even if they do come across, they'll have to go into quarantine for 2 weks anyway.
But that definitely means we'll beat them in the first test.
What, because they'll still be in quarantine?
Has anyone got a number other than 0 to say?
But we could schedule the test, work out their flights, and then schedule the tests. That might be the way to go.
The one other thing that can be done is these can be moved to a different point within the winter, potentially subject to availability of stadia, because there's no implications around player contracts when it comes to international games, which is one of the reasons why Super League season surely has to end by the end of November, for example. So.
Could possibly be replaced with an Exiles game. I've seen a few players asking for that back.
What do you think of that then, Tom?
I liked it when it was around. I didn't think we stuck with it for long enough, personally. I'm probably part of the problem, but I never actually went to one. But I enjoyed watching them on telly.
I'm in that camp too. I never went to one, but I enjoyed watching them on telly. But I did go to the Lancashire-Yorkshire games that were the sort of previous attempt to have something kind of meaningful in the mid-season for our rep players. But I think if they did that sort of thing this year, most people would want to go to those games more than they would have done in the past, potentially.
Yeah.
If you can tie it into some of the other potential ideas, like the match against Wales, which was touted, if you could tie it into potentially if you could play against the France side, that kind of thing. If you can kind of take that period of time, assuming that the domestic fixtures have concluded, and do some kind of international, because you do need to be thinking about preparation for next year still. So there has to, from my point of view, there has to be some level of representative rugby league this autumn in some form, but exactly how that looks, I don't know.
Yeah, good point. No one knows. The people that are in positions of power to decide on these things don't know, Al, so we don't know. But in a nicer story, Love Rugby League reported that Hunslet player Tom Ashton has donated personal protective equipment to a leading hospice in Leeds. Ashton came up with the idea of supporting key organisations in the battle against coronavirus, and his employees, Express Electrical, offered their full support. So I'm guessing it's his work gear that is donated. Hunslet settled. The Hunslet player settled on backing Sue Ryder's Wheatfield's hospice, and the delivery was dropped off at the front door of the hospice, which is situated in Headingley. So that's a nice story, and well done to Tom and Express Electrical on that. And then today, the 18th of May, the RFL gave another new statement about something that they've been talking to people about, and this time we've moved on to the community games. So they provided new guidance to community clubs and junior teams during the coronavirus pandemic. The governing body has held webinars with community clubs, foundations, match officials, and the youth and junior leagues. The RFL say the overriding theme has been a desire to see rugby league return as soon as possible, but a recognition that this may not be possible at the community level for some time between amateur clubs. And obviously this is all framed within the government guidance that came out last Wednesday about, that actually explained what Boris was trying to tell us on the Sunday about the plan and stuff, and so it talking about kind of at the moment junior clubs can't reopen at the moment, sports clubs, but maybe some of the players could have one-on-one type sessions and stuff. But so it's all working towards big picture in that regard. But obviously the RFL is showing some dedication and commitment to sorting things out with the community clubs as well, which is nice to see.
Yep.
If Tim was here, we could know more, because obviously Tim's involved at a community club of his own. So hopefully Tim will be with us again soon and can tell us about that, because damn dastardly real life work is really ruining Tim's ability to appear on our show at the moment, which is a shame. Okay. That's it for the news. We're going to move on to the one match review that we've had. We'll also ask our guests what matches they've been watching whilst we've been in lockdown. And so we'll get to that next. Match reviews time then, and we've got one match review in from you, the wonderful listeners, which is good. Alan, do you want to give us this match review of the 2015 £1 million game?
No doubt. So
okay,
there you go.
Well, it was Wakefield.
And there ends.
The thing is, the joke about reviews. This one isn't anything to do with you losing, is it?
Not specifically. So, a random Wakey fan says, "Ha ha ha ha! Take that, you cast bastards! What a deal we got! Stopping Scott Moore from McShane. You've been mugged off. We'll be laughing about this until 2020."
So, one of the things I watched I watched a bit of that game. The second half I watched most of, I think, on Thursday night. And one of the things that struck me was, boy, that Wakefield side had some high shirt numbers. Didn't it? Almost everyone who scored for them. Kerman scored, and he's obviously been there forever, but everyone else who scored for them had shirt number 35 and above.
Well, it's because Wakefield's approach to the 2015 season was we won't play during the regular season.
Yeah,
and then
but we'll
spend all our money at the end.
Yeah.
And bring everyone in and just survive.
Yeah, the people they brought in, they did lose McShane, but swapped him for Moore, which at the time didn't look like turning out as bad as it's turned out, I would say. But still was a deal in favour probably of Cass even at the time, you would have said. They brought in Mullally, they brought in Bill Tupu, that's when he signed. They brought in another forward who I can't remember the name of. And there was a couple of others. It was very high squad numbers anyway on there. But Bradford brought in Dane Nielsen for that.
Yeah, we did.
That campaign.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean, we
was Harry Staker there all year, or just for that bit as well?
No, Harry Staker had been there all year.
Oh yeah, of course he was, because he got sent off in the first game for throwing the ball away at a 20-metre restart and then giving chat back. Yeah, I was at that game.
Classic.
Actually.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I genuinely think Sky Sports are trying to do something to my psyche by replaying this game, and then next weekend we've got 2007 debacle. It's like I'm taking it personally. So as a result, I'm avoiding these games like the plague. At
least in that the game next weekend, you get to take the moral high ground out of that one. This game was, I think it's fair to say, one of the worst games of rugby league I ever watched.
I the first time round, I